Why do we need to go out for Randal Grichuk when we have Randal Grichuk at home? Today's show, we're talking about why Randal Grichuk is the best fit for the Arizona Diamondbacks to fill their right-handed bat DH spot that they're looking for. So much more, including some tragic news on what is happening to the San Diego Padres. All this on today's show. We're starting in 30 seconds. Don't you go anywhere. To another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as the mayor of PHNX, and it's really weird when people call me that in meetings with government officials present. I am joined by my number two over here, large intimate Kevin Thomas on the ones and twos.
What up?
Great to be back. Great to be here with you. You guys had an exciting thing happen with that Wildcats show or thing you do, right?
Yeah, my one true point guard Love. Well, I guess guard. He's a shooting guard. Caleb Love did his half court thing.
He did his half court thing. That was pretty awesome. Great to see all of you guys in here. Ski to you all. Got to give a big happy birthday shout out to the den mom of PHNX, the one and only Chris Melton. Happy birthday to you. Thank you so much for inviting us on another trip around the sun with you, and we appreciate all of the love that you give, not just the show, but everybody in the chat. Everybody appreciates you great, and I look forward to our Alfredo dinner that we're going to have there on Friday. So looking forward to that. Great to see you guys here. Of course, wonderful time of the year to be here in Arizona, even though it's a little drizzly outside. It's a little rainy. It's beautiful out. And of course, we have spring training coming up right around the corner. I think people are more excited for spring training this year than like I ever remember. I don't know why it is. Everybody's talking to me about going to spring training. Everybody is very hyped for spring training. Kevin, are you going to be out there taking in any games? And is there any particular place that you are going to go watch games at?
Derek, I definitely gotta go get some spring training in this year. I'm excited to be out there. It's how many days away, Derek.
Oh God, see what happens?
Hey, that was less than 2 hours ago.
Yeah, he does the other show with him, and now now it's a Derek and a Damon confusion.
They start the same letter, have I think the same number of letters in the
name.
Damon
would have never made this mistake. Damon would never made this mistake in a million years.
Doesn't have the chance to with Kevin and Derek. It doesn't really sound the same.
Yeah, I guess
that's
10
days.
Point.
7 hours, 57 minutes.
We look a lot alike, though,
Derek.
and so there's that. There's the visual confusion between you and I. But, I can't wait for that. Spring training is an amazing time of the year. We got pitchers and catchers reporting here very soon. It feels like it's going to be here before we know it. But the Diamondbacks still have a lot of work to do. Today we're talking about, obviously, Randal Grichuk and the impact he could have in returning to this team, as well as we got my rankings on the available options the Diamondbacks have at this point for closer, and that includes in-house options. So we're going to talk about that. Of course, we also have some more on the Padres kind of falling apart. Things are falling apart for them internally, at least. And again, it might be a good thing for the Diamondbacks as far as competition, but it isn't a great thing for baseball as a whole, what's going on over there in San Diego. But first, we do have more on Randal Grichuk with reports coming out that the Diamondbacks are interested in pursuing Randal Grichuk. It sounds like Grichuk might be coming back. It sounds like he might be also interested as well. This deal might be done here fairly soon, and it's a very good thing. Obviously, last year it worked very well. His splits with Jock Peterson, the whole situation the Diamondbacks had at DH was incredible, right? Dynamic duo with him and Jock. But when you take a look at his stats from last year, he was a pretty damn good baseball player. Let's take a look at his stats for 2024. Grichuk /291, 348 with a 528 slug. That was good for an 875 OPS. He hit 12 home runs, 46 RBI. He was an extra base machine. He had a 2.2 BWAR and this was in 279 plate appearances. So it's a small sample size. In fact, it's so small. If we go to the baseball savant page, if we have that, the Baseball Savant page he's not eligible. He did not have enough qualified at bats, but still very sneaky there. You can see a lot of red, even though it's not actually red. You can see a lot of pink, I guess you could say there. And it just goes to show how good he was batting last season. He was really, really good against left-handed pitching. We have those stats as well. He hit 319, 386, 528 against left-handers with a 914 OPS, 6 home runs, 32 RBI. He also had 6 home runs against right-handed pitching as well. So, I mean, a Grichuk, even though his stats definitely, lean towards the split and lean towards him, getting those at-bats against left-handed pitching, I think overall he could fill that gap very nicely for what the Arizona Diamondbacks need for a DH. He has that versatility where he can play the outfield and still play the outfield fairly well when compared to potentially some of the other options they could bring in. And I mean, he's, a guy that's already here. He's a guy that's already part of the team. I think he has fit in well. He's a veteran presence that the Diamondbacks don't really have a lot of outside of maybe, Gino. Ketel, I guess, it's weird to say, but Ketel's starting to become a veteran presence in the clubhouse. But, we need an Evan Longoria. We need a few guys like that can, continue to help shape these young players as they continue in their careers. And I think Grichuk is a great candidate for that. But the one thing that is driving me nuts here is like, it seems like there's interest on both sides. The Diamondbacks are interested in bringing him back. It sounds like Grichuk obviously is exploring free agency, but there's interest on his part in coming back to Arizona. And the Spot Track projection is 2 years, $6.6 million. Let's do that this afternoon. Let's sign that. Let's make that happen. I know that's just a projection, and from what we've seen so far, other players are going for much higher than their projected value. But at the same time, it's very much that's a very appealing deal. I mean, when you take a look at what contracts are, who else is available out there, there's a pretty wide gap when you look at other right-handed bats that the Diamondbacks could pursue. And when I say that, I mean, there's the guys that they're not going to pursue as just like a DH backup, like a Alex Bregman or a Pete Alonso. And then it's, you kind of have down the way a little, maybe like a Harrison Bader or Paul DeJong. Again, another couple of guys that could give you some, versatility, play in the outfield or play, other positions as well. But Grichuk kind of fits the mold for what the Diamondbacks have. As far as free agent options, things are dwindling. AZ Devil Dog said wasn't his option at $9 million. I think it was for the Diamondbacks. This is what Spot Track was projecting his contract to be. So again, you can give or take that because that's probably very, very low, but still, I mean, it's the fact that there's, the dwindling options available for both sides, right? For both, for Grichuk, who also has other teams interested. The Royals are rumored to be interested in him as well. Other teams that are kind of looking for a fairly low cost option, but AZ Devil Dog said he should have picked his option up. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out for both sides. I do think that if I'm not mistaken, he had he still got paid something from the contract from opting out, but still, man, I mean, he is last year he was great for this team. I think he was very, very good. I think he could be even better with more at bats. Maybe I'm looking at it from a glass half full kind of perspective. You could say maybe more at bats would expose him to not have some of these numbers that he had. And that could very well be the case, especially considering that the majority of his plate appearances were against left-handed pitching. But again, there's not a lot of options out there for the Diamondbacks. And I think that's what it's coming down to. I just talked about how excited we are for spring training. February will be here in just a few days. And once Saturday is here, what do we got? 12 days until pitchers and catchers report. Obviously, there is more time beyond that and even beyond the start of spring training for the Diamondbacks to get a deal signed and bring someone in. However, you would want to get that deal done, especially, for a guy that you might be bringing in, from a different team sooner than later, right? And especially if you're talking about the fact that the Diamondbacks are still looking for relief pitching, those guys, you would like them in here, on the 12th. You would like them in here when pitchers and catchers report. So it's just a really interesting idea here that the Diamondbacks, I mean, when you look at his numbers, when you look at what the Diamondbacks have available to them, it really does feel like Grichuk is the best option. So I don't know. I mean, I'd feel like when compared to what some of these other guys are going to cost or projected to cost, it does feel like it just makes sense for Grichuk to come back. However, the Diamondbacks do have other options as well. And of course, things could go in that direction. I think that based on the kind of vague comments we've heard from Mike Hazen, they are still going to get some deals done. And when I say the options are limited, those are merely free agent options. There are a lot of options that are out there available via trade, and just maybe too many to even project at this point. Groundhog Mama AZ says we really need to move Montgomery. And see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know that the Diamondbacks have a surplus of starting pitching. We also know that before we talked about the surplus of starting pitching, we wanted to see if anybody would be interested in one pre-owned Jordan Montgomery. Now, you know, there was that talk also of them having a surplus of outfielders. So I feel like when we talk about what the Diamondbacks have as options, we're going to talk about their options for relief pitching as well. It's based on free agent options. There are a couple of options when we talk about closers that, or at least one that's via trade that we don't really think is going to happen, but we're still going to bring up anyway. But the Diamondbacks really, you know, again, time is not on their side at this point. They have some holes to fill that they very much have discussed wanting to fill, and it would feel like a little bit of a, you know, I guess a letdown at this point if they weren't able to go out there and add to this team. However, you know, the Connor says, I feel a Monty trade is in the works and it's kind of holding everything else up. It's a great point. That very well could be the case. It's the Jordan Montgomery trade situation is going to play out in a way that's going to most likely see the Diamondbacks not get the positive side of things. We are going to see the Diamondbacks most likely do this just to shed the Montgomery contract and make that money available to them in free agency. Again, the trade probably isn't going to be the thing that brings the players that they're looking for to the team. And I think that's kind of what Connor's talking about there, and versus it just more freeing up the cap space, or not cap space, but freeing up the money. There is no cap space. That's hilarious. Freeing up the money for the Diamondbacks to go out there and possibly offer maybe, you know, maybe Grichuk that contract, maybe someone else, maybe, you know, the closer that they're going after as well. But I also agree with Groundhog Mama in the hit the like aspect. And if I get enough likes, I will sing happy birthday to Chris before the end of this program. And that it's going to be terrible. You're going to regret that very much so. But
what's the like goal, Derek, for that? What's the like goal? Give the people a goal.
Give me 50 likes on this episode. I'll keep it limited. I don't even know how many people are watching right now. That might be too high, but yeah. She says baseball cap space. Cap space. Yeah. No, it was a definitely slip there. Yeah. I don't know ball for sure, but I do know teal. So I got this rocking teal outfit that people basically proclaimed me to be a madman to be wearing this. You can't really see it in the shot, but I do have matching pants on as well. So that's something I needed to show everybody. Like I said, though, we do have more in regards to the Diamondbacks to talk about here when it comes to their options here in free agency, and that is in regards to their relief pitching options. So we're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. Of course, don't you guys go anywhere. You are watching the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast. Well, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with me as your host, and it's never ordinary when you're on Bet365, which has 90 million users worldwide. They live stream 780,000 events each year, and they do offer early payouts across NBA, NFL, NHL, and your Major League Baseball season when that comes back. But right now, you can get down on the basketball early payout offer for NBA and college basketball with the Bet365 early payout offer, where you are a winner if your team goes up by 20 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections, which are also marked as winners. So again, sometimes those games can change really quickly, especially when you're watching this Phoenix Suns team. So rest assured that if your team goes up by 20, you're a winner regardless of the outcome of the game. Right now, new customers can get $150 bonus or $150 back in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet $5. Sign up. Use the code of PHNX365 when you do. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Bonus bets can be used on spread, totals, player props, futures, and whatever more. Make sure, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Bet365 Must be 21 and over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Well, the Carol Royce real estate team is family owned and locally operated with 3 generations of family members serving the Valley of the Sun, and it is never easy to find a home. We know that, right? So let Carol Royce help you out with that. Carol Royce and her team have an unbeatable track record. They've sold over 12,000 homes across the Valley, and Carol knows the real estate market. Choosing the right agent is a big decision, and too often you're left with doubts of whatever you did was the right choice. And trust me, I tried to buy a home myself, and it was a fruitless endeavor until I got a real estate agent involved. And once I did, the process was done instantly, and I had somebody negotiating on my behalf. If you're looking to buy your dream home, you've probably been looking on Zillow or at websites like realtor.com. If you didn't know this, Carol Royce and her team have access to thousands of off-market homes that you won't find online, so they can hopefully help you find your dream home and get you in that place soon. If you're considering buying a home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce, your home sold guaranteed realty. Move up to one of our local listings and we'll buy your home for cash. If you have questions, call today or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Well, I think we're ready to rank my fantasy rankings of the Arizona Diamondbacks back-end relief options, because as you know, they have been talking about that. It very much seems like internal candidates are not good enough, Kevin. And I don't like that. I'm not a fan of the idea that internal candidates are not good enough. But what we are going to do is we're but he is a back-end reliever. He does have closing experience. He had a 2.45 ERA last year. And as far as I'm concerned, he is S tier for me. He is S tier. Kev, can you go to the comments?
Yeah, people in the chat were saying they couldn't hear you when this scene was set up today.
Okay.
You were muted. That was a true thing.
Am I good now?
You're all good now.
All right.
The people can hear the great gospel from Derek.
Okay.
That's a true thing.
Well, again, they might have missed me perhaps saying that I was ranking these people based on vibes.
Yeah, they did miss the vibes. They did miss the vibes.
Based on heart emojis, based on love. And I went right to Carlos Estevez, which, again, is, I think, the guy that the Diamondbacks are probably trying to hone in on. It feels like he is the one that keeps coming up in reports. And again, he is a back-end reliever, not exactly a closer, a guy with closing experience, and a guy who I think could develop into a great closer for the next team that he's a part of. So as far as I'm concerned, for the options, he's an S tier. He's an S tier option for the Diamondbacks for me at this point.
Derek RA brings up a good point in the chat. Can we get a lip reading analysis for the first part of that?
Yeah.
Is that something that we should do?
Oh yeah, we'll break that down. We'll do voices over the top of it. I'll let maybe Espo get involved. He's good at that. He can do the Nookie Monster voice over me while we're doing it.
Oh boy!
See, that's content. That's content.
Boy.
This is why you want me here more. Let's talk about next. We got Kenley Jansen. I'm going to be nice here. He had a pretty decent season, and again, he's a veteran. I think he's a guy that still has a lot left in the tank. I just don't think he's as appealing as some of the other options. He had a 3.29 ERA last year, though. Still pretty good. I'm putting him in the B tier. Is that fair? What are your thoughts on that, Kev?
I mean, it sounds fair to me, Derek. I trust your judgment on these
You're trusting,
things.
you're trusting my call.
I trust the vibes. The vibes are about B tier.
Yeah, that's the vibe. I mean, he's former Dodger, so maybe C tier.
Yeah, that does dock him some vibes.
Yeah, I mean, he
vibes
cleansed himself by going through Boston.
It's not really a cleanse, though.
Nah, not really. David Robertson. Again, older guy. Unfortunately, I won't be to knock older guys, but still had himself a good year. 3 ERA I would put him right there with Kenley Jansen in the B tier. I think that's reasonable. Again, both of those guys are solid options, and if the Diamondbacks go that route, I don't think anybody would be necessarily disappointed. Again, both of those guys have lots of closing experience, so there's a difference there between those guys and Carlos Estevez. But let's go Craig Kimbrell. Let's get him out of here. Let's put him in the D tier. There's no need to even. I don't think anybody needs.
Real simple.
It's easy. It's that easy. 5.33 ERA 2024. I don't need to discuss him as an option. We got Justin Martinez and we got AJ Puck down there, and I have them down there for a reason. Now, I would probably have both of these guys one tier higher if it wasn't for the fact that I feel like Mike Hazen has made it very well known that he doesn't really want an internal candidate. I don't know why he doesn't want an internal candidate. I don't know why he doesn't feel like those guys are ready yet. They have their reasons. They are, again, still developing Justin Martinez. And I think AJ Puck is a left-handed weapon that you want to have available at all times instead of just in the ninth inning, right? So I guess it makes sense. However, I'm throwing logic and that sense out the window because, again, this is based on vibes. We're going purely on vibes. And I am deducting a tier on Mike Hazen's behalf. I feel like that's the right move to go. So since Mike Hazen is against his wishes, it's against his wants. I'm gonna move them both down a tier, but I'm putting Justin Martinez in the B tier in that case, and I'm putting AJ Puck in the A tier. And I think you know what that really means about how I feel about those guys. But we'll do that. Is that fair?
I think it's very fair, Derek. I think you're right on the Mike Hazen thing. Just all the information he's told us publicly indicates that you're going to have to dock one tier for each of these players because he doesn't view them as the S tier option.
Right. He doesn't want that. Right. But again, if it comes down to Craig Kimbrell being the option, do you really want him over one of those guys? Do you really feel like he's more talented and has a better shot at closing games for you just based on his past experience than someone like Justin Martinez, who was on a list of like the fastest pitches thrown this season twice, and not like, for solid. No, we're talking about average. It was his fastball and his sinker, right? I think that was also one of the fastest pitches thrown in Major League Baseball this season. So I think Justin Martinez is the future. I think Chris says it. J Mart is the closer of 2026. But nah, I mean, that's where I'm at with that. Apparently Groundhog Mom, I don't know who she's disagreeing with, but she often disagrees with me, so wouldn't be surprised.
Probably disagreeing with Connor, who said put some respect on the 2023 NLCS MVP Craig Kimbrell.
No, in that case, yes, I agree with Groundhog Mama 100%. Hell no, we won't be doing that. But last we got Ryan Helsley, a guy who you know very well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And this is a guy that I feel like the Cardinals have made known that he is not available. Do you believe them?
Yes, I do believe them. I feel like he's the caliber of player that if you got him in house, you want to keep him in house. And I think this is a position that you just need to have a guy like him there. So yeah, I think the Cardinals are putting him on the no fly list.
Where are they at though, as far as a team? I mean, not to accuse you of being a fan of that organization, but no, I'm asking this from a speculative perspective.
No, you're right.
I mean, where are they at as a team?
Because if you're selling as the Cardinals, which the Cardinals probably should be selling, you're losing a lot of talent this offseason. They're not exactly a buy-in team all the way either. So I could see the point of letting go of Ryan Helsley to get assets back that could help you in 3 years when you're looking to contend or whatnot. So I think that's fair. I think I am probably just being my native St. Louisan.
I get it.
Let talent go, but I think you're right. They should be selling in order to buy later.
Well, and I like the Cardinals as an organization. They're a very good team at not having to rebuild, right? But it feels like with the loss of Paul Goldschmidt and kind of the direction that they're in right now, that they are kind of in that position. I don't know how they get back to a level of prominence, and it feels like in their division, the teams around them are just getting better, right? But Ryan Helsley, again, he's one of the best players in baseball. He's one of the best relievers in baseball. He's an S tier guy. There's no way he's not. The only reason why he wouldn't be an S tier would be his availability, right? That's the only reason why I would say, as far as the option for the Diamondbacks as a closer, it's about what would it cost? How much would it cost? What would it require in a trade with the Cardinals in order to get him? Where does it come to a point where it's too much, right? Like, what names start being included in there once a Drew Jones or, some of these other guys, a Jordan Lawler perhaps, maybe starts getting mentioned or brought up in regards to a Ryan Helsley? Maybe you guys have pause. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the chat what you would think about Ryan Helsley and if it's worth it. Chris says, can I offer you Zach Gallen? We'll give them Zach Gallen back. Remember? They're the ones that drafted him, right? We'll give them one Zach Gallen back. Actually, that's interesting. That is interesting. Is that too much? Like, I don't think a trade for Zach Gallen is that out of the question, considering, what we know about the likelihood of him resigning here. However, look who the Diamondbacks just brought over. And I can't help but wonder what the impact of Corbin Burnes being here on this team could have on the chances of bringing Zach Gallen back. I mean, he's not going to re-sign. It's going to be like a free agency, and then you bring him back with the new contract. However, I feel like, what happened here with Corbin Burnes at least makes it more enticing for Gallen to want to come back. And they're both, obviously Scott Boras guys, so that, does make a lot of sense. However, Chris, the birthday girl, says, I think Gallen is movable. And if she says that, then that's pretty much anybody. That means we should all be on board. I think he is movable when you think about, again, the likelihood of him re-signing. It feels like that's a very low percentage chance. But what do we know? I mean, I would have given the Diamondbacks less than a 0% chance of signing Corbin Burnes this offseason. Honest to God. I mean, I think even when we discussed it, Jesse brought it up at one point. When we discussed it, it was not something that we said it in jest, but it wasn't something we actually thought.
It was like a pipe dream.
It was like what's the craziest thing the Diamondbacks could do kind of
I think that might have been the
situation.
exact context. That I think you asked Jesse, like, all right, what's the rabbit out of a hat move, like the just complete magical move that you could make? And I think he said Corbin Burnes.
Yeah, and it's because Corbin Burnes was the best available starting pitcher on the market, and that's a fact. When you look at Ryan Helsley, he's one of the best, if not the best closer available in baseball right now. Not available, but in baseball, right? So the idea of bringing him to this team is very enticing. And even though the price might be too high, you might find yourself in a position where, you've solidified every part of your pitching staff. And that's what wins ball games. I mean, I'm sorry, like, especially with the way that offense is in baseball these days, if you can have a rock solid pitching staff, you're going to win a lot of baseball games. And with the direction of some of the other teams in our division, that might be a little bit easier to do as well here soon. So I'm going to kick dirt on the Padres and their whole situation here coming up because things are getting very nasty, very litigious, and it's kind of sad for a team that was this close to beating the Dodgers in the playoffs last year. So we're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. Don't you guys go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, of course, I've been talking about Circle K for a very long time, and that's because Circle K is America's thirst stop. Love Circle K, and if you're not already part of their inner circle, I feel like I've been wasting a lot of energy, right? Because why not? It's free. It saves you money, and you're going to get 5 Polar Pops for free right now, just out of the gate. You're going to save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and then 3 cents every day after that. Why aren't you part of the inner circle? Not to shame you. I feel like your mom or your dad, like, why haven't you signed up for this yet? Go do it right now. It's free. Join the inner circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. But I'm telling you, when you do, you'll get a little punch card thing in the app, and you'll get buy 5, get a 6th one free on a selection of Circle K products like pizza, coffee, ice cold fountain drinks, all sorts of wonderful things. So go right now, save some money, and get yourself something to drink. I know, even though it's cold and rainy outside, you're still dehydrated and you need to get something. Drink some water and then drink a Red Bull like I am over here. Also, stop by anywhere here in the Valley, your favorite local dispensary. Stop by Trulieve and get yourself some Pure Edibles, which was founded in Arizona and is available in 130 dispensaries statewide. Pure Gummies are not covered in sugar like some of their competitors. They are a full-fledged candy company offering gummies, their version of Starburst, which are called Kicks, Chews, hard candies, and more. And Pure Effects are clearly listed on each tin so you know exactly which effects to expect, including their wonderful sleep gummies. I'm telling you, my favorite thing to do lately is sleep. I'm 43 years old, so we're in that phase. We're in that cycle of life, and I'm fine with that. And I never get a better sleep than with Pure Edibles and their wonderful Sleep Time gummies. They were created right here in Flagstaff, Arizona at Noble Herb Dispensary, which is the home of Pure Edibles, and is now made right here in the Valley in Phoenix, Arizona. They're designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them easily shareable or easy to dial in your exact dose. Go find yourself some Pure Edible products from one of over 130 dispensaries in Arizona right now. Well, like I said, we have some more on what is going on with the San Diego Padres. If you haven't been paying attention, you haven't missed much. You missed a lot of drama, but you haven't missed a lot of moves. In fact, the Padres just signed their first free agent of the offseason, bringing back their all-star catcher Elias Diaz, which is a move a lot of teams thought the team was going to make. But outside of that, the organization has been fairly quiet on moves and very loud on when it comes to their internal conflict between the former owner, Peter Seidler, who passed away, his widow, and his brothers. And there are reports now that the Padres are shopping around starting pitchers Dylan Cease and Michael King with very little activity aside from re-signing Diaz and being one of the losing teams in the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes, right? So, but it's sad and it's bad for baseball, what's happening with the Padres. You don't know what the effects are going to be because this team was still very good last year and still could be very good in 2025. They're a division rival, and as much as you want to kind of kick a little dirt on their name, like I said earlier, do a little tap dancing on the situation, it's unfortunate. And like I said, it's bad for baseball. This was a team that rivaled the Dodgers last year. It was one of the teams that had the best chance at beating them in the playoffs and was very close to doing so. But, again, like I said, after the passing of their owner, Peter Seidler, the ongoing battle for the team has kind of left things, in shambles.
Shambles.
Thank you. I installed a chandelier at my house the other day, and that's all I could think of. This is, again, 43-year-old man. But yeah,
little flex there, though. That was a little flex.
It's not a nice chandelier. I mean, I say
it's
chandelier. It's just a hanging thing with lights. It's not.
I don't have any hanging things.
There's
with
not
lights
crystals
in my
on it. It's not something you would see in a fancy ballroom scene that Spider-Man would destroy. It's just lights. Calm down. Lights hanging from a chain. But this legal battle is nasty. It's between Seidler's widow, Sheil, and his brothers, Bob and Matt Seidler. And the allegations are kind of severe. The allegations from Sheil's side is that the brothers have conspired to sell trust assets to themselves at a lower cost, far below market value, quote unquote, as they, quote, scheme to solidify their control of the Padres. And it does feel like there is a very much a HBO Severance-like battle going on here between these two, these two parties. The lawsuit also alleges that there's been multiple racist, profane, and hateful communications directed at Sheil in communications by Bob Seidler's wife. And just overall, it's become a situation where, the widow of the former owner and her children are the trustee of this trust and seemingly the rightful, owners of the team, but they weren't allowed last year in the owner's box. And there's been just a lot of aggressive, infighting going on right now. And again, this is Groundhog Mama's right. Seidler loved this team and he'd be rolling in his grave over this. This is a awful situation. It's awful for it to go down like this. And again, like I feel like this is when you read it, there's a lot of legal language. There's a lot of talk about who's in control of the trust, who are the trustees, who are the designated trustees. According to Matt Seidler, he made a statement shared by a spokesperson that said Peter had a clear estate plan. The plan specifically named 3 of his 9 siblings with whom he had worked with closely for many decades as successor trustees of his trust, and Peter himself prohibited Sheil from ever serving as trustee. So there, again, I'm not here to try to justify or say who's in the right or who's in the wrong, unless when it comes to the racist and profane allegations. I think that kind of speaks for itself as to who's in the wrong there, if that's the case. But I think what just is awful here is that sentiment about how much Peter Seidler loved this team and how important all of this was to him. It seems to me as an outsider that they had this all kind of figured out. When you talk about trusts and trustees and, language contracts, obviously goes beyond wills, right? So, but plans specifically naming siblings and who is in control of the trust or who are successor trustees of the trust, like all of this seems like it would be black and white. Like it would be a very easy decision on who is in control of this team, who is the rightful owner of this team. I don't have that answer, but what I do know is, even speaking as a person that does a podcast covering a rival team in the same division, it's unfortunate to see this go in the direction that it's going when they seem to be so close to building something great for the city of San Diego that they've never had, right? That team's never won a World Series, and that team is everything. That team means everything to the city of San Diego right now as far as a sports franchise goes. That team sells out every single night, and I mean it, right? That team was the biggest threat to the Dodgers in the NL West last season, and they were very close to eliminating them from the playoffs. So again, this whole situation seems to be, bad for baseball as a whole, bad for the Padres, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know how much of this conflict is impacting their ability to go out there and sign free agents, their ability to go out there and make moves to improve this team. But so far, they've been receiving nothing but criticism and F grades across baseball for the moves that they've made so far. And, again, I have no way to decide who's right or wrong. But again, I think that, going back to what I was saying, it's sad that this isn't more clear, right? And I'm sure that this will be cleared up soon. Other organizations have gone through some, pretty unfortunate situations like this as well. But so the Padres aren't the only team that has gone through this, but it's also a sports organization that's worth over $2 billion, right? And that's something that if any single one of us had a right to, we would fight until the end for our stake in something that was worth $2 billion. I don't care if you're his brothers or his spouse or his children. Like it's a lot of money, and it's one of those things that a lot of people in that family care about, and again, want to be in control of. They want to continue his legacy, and it's unfortunate that it's kind of getting tarnished right now with all of this fighting.
I was just gonna interrupt you real quick and say, is that even how you carry on the legacy, Derek? Like, that's not how you do that, right? And I know that's not the point you're making, but like, it's unfortunate when these things happen and everyone involved is clearly going through some sort of grief related to the situation, but also understanding the opportunity that sits in front of them. There's a lot of emotion and emotional variables involved, and it's unfortunate when material things kind of get in the way of immaterial experiences, and especially in the appreciation of a loved one. It's unfortunate.
Well, I think when you're talking about his children, his widow, like, it's not only a birthright thing, but it's taking on the tradition of their father and wanting to continue that tradition. But it's also about like generational wealth. Like, we're not just talking about a job. We're not just talking about like a lawsuit worth a couple $100,000. We're talking about the control of a sports franchise that's worth over $2 billion. And that's a game changer for any franchise or any family. Like that's something, again, that you're right. It sucks when it comes down to it being fighting over money. And it does make everything feel very cold and very, very just greedy, but it's a fight worth fighting for when you're talking about not just money, not just being comfortable. We're not just talking about a player getting an extra $3 million on a contract. We're talking about control of a $2 billion sports franchise.
Like,
right?
you never having to work again. Your kids likely not having to work. That's like that's exactly the kind of wealth you're talking about. Yeah.
Not just that, but I mean, look at how important sports are becoming. Look at how important sports are in all of our lives, right? So it's like, it doesn't feel like sports are a stock that could suddenly drop. You feel like $2 billion is a drop in the hat compared to what it's going to be worth, you know, for their children, you know, for his children's children and his grandchildren and his great grandchildren, right? So, but again, if trusts were put in place, lawyers were involved, documents were signed, notary publics were there stamping stuff and things, right? Like, whatever was signed, whatever plan was put in place that's legally in place is the plan that's in place. So that's what everybody's going to end up having to follow. And I don't know in what direction this lawsuit against these brothers are going to have, but I mean, I think the most criminal part seems to be the allegations, not just the racism and things like that, but the accusation that the brothers are selling themselves trust assets at a far below market value in order for them to seize complete control of the team. So I don't know, man. I mean, it doesn't seem right. And hopefully they can get it figured out. And hopefully when I say they can get it figured out, they can get it figured out, you know, for the correct party and make sure that this team ends up with the people who should be in control of it. Ina Jackson says, hopefully they settle it or the ownership or the ownership into a partnership trust that represents his wishes for the best of the team. And I mean, again, that team was really cruising, and again, it felt like you know, what they did, the money they spent to assemble the roster that they did was in an effort for Peter to see this team succeed. You know, and unfortunately he isn't around, but that's something that they can continue his legacy on and keep this team competitive. And I think that's the part where I'm talking about it being unfortunate. It's only speculation on my part, but it feels like this is obviously impacting the team's ability to go out there and improve, you know, their roster and continue competing with the teams in the NL West. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks, the you know, Giants, the Dodgers have all gotten better. The Dodgers significantly better. It's criminal. It's disgusting. It's gross. It makes me sick. But they've gotten better. The Giants, they've gotten better. In fact, they signed former Arizona Diamondback Jake Lamb to a minor league deal, which we'll talk about on the other side of this break. But again, it's a competitive division. It's one of the most competitive divisions in baseball. The Rockies, they're also there. They exist. But like, again, the Padres are a team that have really just done nothing but kind of lose some of their most important pieces, including Jerks and Profar. And, you know, you kind of left wondering if we're going to see them do anything. For the benefit of the Diamondbacks, let's be honest, this is good. Like, this helps, considering that the Padres were right there step by step with the Diamondbacks at one point. Even when the D-backs were having one of their, you know, best stretches of the season, every time we looked over, there was the Padres also winning. They were again. So, you know, again, this is kind of like a benefit of baseball thing, but for the benefit of the Diamondbacks, continue to have your internal strife and continue to let this conflict impact the team. It would be nice to not have so many great teams to compete with in the division. I doubt that's the case. I'm sure that this team will use it as motivation in 2025, and they'll just fuel themselves on pure, you know, spite and be even better than they were last year. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. But based on the, you know, pieces that they're shopping around, it remains to be seen what they're going to get in return, and if the return is going to be more about future assets or future, you know, prospects versus, you know, adding to the team immediately. Michael King was excellent for this team. Dylan Cease is one of the best starters in baseball. So if they're shopping those guys around, it's interesting to see if it's more of a white flag for 2025 than it is an upgrade for that team. So we'll see. We'll see if they make that move. We'll see if those trades happen and what the return is. But like I alluded to earlier, we're going to talk about our old friend Jake Lamb signing a minor league deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks on the other side of this break. Again, don't you guys go anywhere. You're watching us right here at the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, it is a cloudy day outside, and this is one of 5 days in Arizona where you don't need sunglasses, but you know, it's already clearing up. and you need yourself a solid pair of sunglasses. So make sure to check out our friends at Shady Rays. Get ready for spring training with quality shades built to last and some amazing polarized lenses as well. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And if you have a favorite style, they probably already have one that matches it. Make sure to check out their hundreds of options to choose from. You're bound to find the perfect pair to match your face. And also, they have a crazy lost and broken replacement plan, which I have actually used myself because I am a forgetful person. So if you lose your shades, if they ever go missing, if they ever take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection plan of all in all of eyewear, where every pair is backed, where they will send you out a brand new pair, no questions asked. Also, if you don't love your shades when you get them, you can exchange them for a new pair or get your money back worry-free within 30 days. No risk at all when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Well, while you're looking good with your new sunglasses, make sure to get yourself a new hat from Branded Bills. Or if you're looking to make your particular personal brand stand out from the crowd, you can use Branded Bills to make some exclusive headwear apparel for your company. You can elevate your brand with Branded Bills, perfect headwear and apparel company. Looking for some gear? You can check out Branded Bills for the perfect custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They have partnerships with the Suns, ASU, U of A, and more. So they have some amazing hats already on their website, as well as, like I've talked about before, some incredible Arizona hats. I mean, to celebrate this amazing state we live in with some hats from Branded Bills. They're a local company from right here in Mesa, Arizona. So check out their website at brandedbills.com. You can use our code of PHNX for 20% off your order. And again, if you're looking for snapback truckers, fitted beanies, it doesn't matter. They have you covered with performance and style, and they are ready to make some custom headwear for you and your brand. Well, it is time to spy on our exes once again. You know I'm all about spying on our exes, and this time it's for our guy Jake Lamb. Jake Lamb has agreed to a minor league deal with the San Francisco Giants with an invite to spring training. The Giants are still looking for kind of a backup infielder there, and you know Jake Lamb could be the guy. Per John Heyman, he could make $1 million if he makes it to the majors this season. And again, Jake Lamb was always, I feel like he's like Archie's best friend, right? So by extension, he's like my best friend too. That's
how
it works.
The transitive property works. Yes, I agree.
It's like step best friends. I don't know. I feel very close with Jake Lamb. I mean, how do you not appreciate a man that actually has the name Lamb and brought a lamb into the clubhouse? Like, look at that. Look at how cute he is. That's amazing. Also, they made a bobblehead of this moment, which I own and is very good. But yeah, Jake Lamb, Connor Mormon is not wrong. 2017 Jake Lamb, you will never, ever be forgotten. This man, by the way, hit 59 home runs with an 843 OPS from 2016 to 2017. So Jake can, in fact, rake. And again, best wishes to him. He was drafted by the Diamondbacks in the 6th round of the 2012 MLB draft. Came up, had himself a great little stint, and we don't want you to be too good with the Giants, Jake. I won't lie, but we do wish you the best and hope that you can go out there and really, you know, have a career back again. Like sometimes it's unfortunate what happens to these guys. I think Jake was a product of that. He had a substantial amount of injuries, and you know, unfortunately, it held him back. It's kind of like our guy Archie, that you can just tell these guys have so much left in the tank. They have so much more that they want to give, but you know, once these injuries start happening, it's hard to not only recover from them, but then also still stay in the shape that you need to stay in order to be a professional baseball player, right? So again, Jake Lamb had a substantial number of injuries. I also asked Jake Lamb the stupidest question I've ever asked a baseball player in my entire life. It's one of those moments, and I think you guys can all understand this, where like you meant to ask the question in a different way, but what came out was obviously the stupidest version of the thing you were thinking. Jake Lamb was removed from a game after getting struck by a baseball. And I believe the exact wording of my question was, was there anything you felt you could have done differently to avoid the scenario? Now, that's not exactly what I meant by any stretch of the imagination, but for some reason that combination of words is what came out of my mouth. And I believe Jake smiled and kind of laughed at me and said, move? Like, out of the way of the ball? Like, I mean, it was not exactly my finest moment, but kudos to Jake. And again, hope he has himself, has himself a good minor league career. I hope he rakes and then doesn't come up and hurt the Diamondbacks in any way, shape, or form. Don't remember, the Giants have been trying this. This is not a new move. Don't forget, they brought Nick Ahmed over there. If they could have, they would have brought Carson Kelly over. They're trying to do everything they can to get as much intel on us as possible. They want to know Torey Lovullo's mindset. They want to know what he's thinking at all times. And I respect the move. I respect the move. So anyway, I also wanted to once again say happy birthday. Did we get our 50? We didn't get our 50 likes.
No singing.
We are 50
Derek
likes.
is not going to sing.
I want to sing. I want to sing, but I feel like if I do, then I would be disrespecting the nature of the game, right? Like
if they could get 8 more likes and get it to 30, how do you feel about that? Not good enough?
I mean, I don't feel great about it. I won't lie to you. I don't feel great about it. I don't feel like we could have mustered up 50 likes, but
I'm with you, Derek.
I understand. It's the off season. We don't have a lot to talk about. In fact, in planning the show, I very much assumed that the Diamondbacks were going to have made a move by now. And this is
there is a move that was made, not by the D-backs, but Jeff Passan tweeted out, like, I don't know, 10 minutes ago that the Cincinnati Reds, the Cincinnati Reds are finalizing a trade to acquire left-handed reliever Taylor Rogers from the San Francisco Giants. Sources tell Passan, and who is that? Kylie McDaniel as well.
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't think the full terms are out, but 34-year-old Rogers is owed $12 million this season, and he's going to Cincinnati.
Well, that's good. Get him out of the division. I'm okay with that. You said, yeah, I mean, that's fine. I need more Diamondbacks moves, though. I'm with you. I was trying to get you as close to D-backs news as possible. No, I mean, I appreciate the effort. I really do. And it's the baseball offseason, right? It kind of moves slowly, and then it moves in. Like you have the Roki Sasaki situation where, again, once a lot of teams were out of it in the international signee, the pool, they were able to go out there and sign, their free agents. I felt like this offseason, there were some teams there still are some teams that are kind of maneuvering for some of these high-end players. Alex Bregman, and Pete Alonso, they're still available on the market. There's still quite a few guys, that I think are out of the Diamondbacks either budget or I guess need, right? Like they don't need really an Alex Bregman. It would literally be shocking if the Diamondbacks signed somebody like that at this point, right? Making a trade for a quality player, I don't think would be out of the question at this point for the Diamondbacks. But I really feel like when you take a look, at some of the, at some of the remaining free agents, it just doesn't feel very likely that outside of the, some of the available relievers, some of those back end relievers that, the Diamondbacks don't really have a lot of interest or wouldn't have a lot of interest in a lot of these players. Piece of Yoshi is here and he says he wants Pete. I don't know if he means for the Mets or the D-backs though, because he does root for both of those teams. And Groundhog Mama says no one wants Pete. That's a weird situation as well with Pete Alonso. It very much feels like Pete Alonso wants to go back to the Mets. And I don't know if the Mets want Pete Alonso back. I don't know what's going on there. But, again, the Diamondbacks' options have kind of, dwindled away here, especially when you look at their particular needs. It's the reason why Randal Grichuk at this point seems to make the most sense. And I just want to see Grichuk back. I think that in the limited capacity he was asked to play baseball for this team, he was awesome. He was a rock star for this squad. So I think if you gave him more at bats, gave him the ability to go out there and not only play the outfield a bit more, but, be a regular DH. Yeah, his numbers might not be as good, but if he could produce something close to this over, a longer portion of the season with more plate appearances, then I mean, what other option is going to do? Put his stats back up there, Kevin. Put his 2024 stats back up there because they're gross. They're gross, and I love them. This man almost hit 300. I mean, he slashed 299, 348, 528 with an 875 OPS. I mean, like, yeah, 12 home runs. I think the 12 home runs is honestly crazy because it shows that how much his slugging percentage was impacted by extra base hits and not by, home runs. He was not necessarily a power guy, but he hit for power and he hit a lot of, extra base hits. He also had 914 OPS against left-handed pitching. Like, it's crazy when you look at Randal Grichuk's numbers from last year. And again, in relation to what Spot Track is suggesting for his contract versus what he was owed, what his option was for this year, who knows? I mean, I'm sure if he does sign with a team, it'll be closer, probably something like 10 million. But even that seems like a fair ask, for somebody who, was able to produce this. He had an OPS plus of 140 last season. Again, we're talking about only, 279 plate appearances, but still, I think that, when you look at the options out there, you look at what it's going to cost you free agent wise, Grichuk just makes the most sense. And Diamondbacks don't have a lot of time. Get this deal done before, everybody's reporting, but I hope they do. I hope we don't see them go through what they went through last year with Jordan Montgomery, for instance. That was, it leads to entirely too much speculation on what could have been had Jordan Montgomery had a normal offseason, had a normal, spring training, right? And again, that's going back to our discussion earlier about why Jordan Montgomery being traded still might annoy the crap out of me, because there's a pretty good chance, in my opinion, that he's going to be much better next year than he was this year. I think a lot of people can agree on that. Maybe people don't agree he's going to be much better, but I think a lot of people agree that Jordan Montgomery is going to be a better pitcher in 2025. And the shame about that is I feel like it's going to be for a different team. And at least if he was able to be on the Diamondbacks for one of the 2 years that he was here and produce and be a decent pitcher for them, it would be a little easier to forget what happened last year and focus more on, how good he was in that one season for the team, right? But, I think it's very likely that we don't see Jordan Montgomery pitch in a Diamondbacks uniform again. So there's those assets and, what the Diamondbacks do with those assets. So not a lot of time left. We will be, again, just a reminder, moving to 3 shows a week when spring training starts. So
yeah,
there's that.
More mayor. Woo!
It's more driving for me, but it's fine. I'll deal with it.
More driving, less sleepy time.
I don't want to be on the 101.
Less home projects.
Yeah, no more chandelier. Yeah, no more chandelier hanging. But I do appreciate you guys so much for stopping by. We always appreciate your time. We will be back next Wednesday. I think we have 2 more Wednesday shows left, and then we'll be back to 3 shows a week. So very much looking forward to that. Looking forward to pitchers and catchers reporting. Looking forward to getting my feet muddied out at Salt River Field and standing in grass while taking video for you wonderful people. And I cannot wait to hear the sound of a bat hitting a baseball again. And I'm sure you guys are all with me on that. So it'll be here before we know it. Very much looking forward to it. So again, thank you guys for stopping by. As always, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. Large Intimate Kevin Thomas is at Kevo Posts. Of course, our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but all roads do, as always, lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for stopping by. I think, what else we got, Kev?
I was going to ask you, Derek, are you going to commit to going to a World Baseball Classic game in Tucson with me? Because I kind of want to go.
Oh, it's in Tucson?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
The 2025 qualifiers, games 1 through 7 are in Tucson.
We're there.
You got March 2nd, China versus Germany.
We're there.
Brazil and Colombia. Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm there.
Let's make that happen. Let's make that
happen.
There.
Let's go do more road trips. Go more places. Watch more baseball. I'll tell you, you're never disappointed when you do that. And I hope you guys all do. I hope you guys take us up on that. Yes, we will be there for that. And again, there was also some amazing Lee Dome action. It came down to Game 7 and a walk-off home run. And I mean, or an almost home run. It wasn't a home run, right? Or it was. Catch at the end, but it was almost, oh my God, it was incredible. But again, baseball is always being played. We live in baseball nirvana. It's a wonderful state to live in. Make sure you do not miss it, especially when spring training gets here, because it's incredible and should be a fun time. So again, we thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next Wednesday. Until then, behave yourselves. Enjoy this weather while we have it before it gets too hot. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you hurry up and just sign Randal Grichuk already.
We all silly like the mayor.